Hi, welcome back to Art and Soul. My name is Mike Severin. I'm glad you could join me again. I hope you had a really good holiday. We've started now the year 2016, and how exciting for another year and another opportunity to improve our lives. And I'm glad that maybe you're starting this venture into the creative end of it into your new year, and I would hope that you would incorporate that and maybe make me a part of that process for you. Um, we started a picture here a couple of weeks ago, and I kind of want to walk through where we left it before versus where it is now, and then we'll go through some paints and we'll get started on this beautiful aspen picture that we started. When I left you last, we had this background here in the sky of this mauvish, kind of this light lavender that is back there. And as you can see, now I have a blue that we've put in, and I'll explain why I did that here in a minute. But I had you leave, when we left last, I had you filling in these trees with the dark side as well as the white side, using that palette knife. And then up above here, after I did all my trees, I started incorporating in some of the colors that we're going to have up there in those trees. What I was noticing when I started getting home and was trying to get it caught up to where it is today, is that I just didn't like these aspens against this kind of this lavendery mauve color. So I just came in with some phthalo blue and white, and I just started incorporating in that in between the trees, and I think it makes them pop a little better and it looks a little more natural. So if you want to do that, great. If you don't want to, that's okay. You can leave it with those mauves. It's entirely up to you. Let's go through our palette really quickly, and then we'll get some painting done here. I started here with our cad yellow, and then we have a cad orange, a alizarin crimson, our titanium white. We have a Prussian blue, a phthalo blue, and our burnt sienna. So what we're going to do to start with is we need to make up some dark colors here. I want to show you how to make some of these eyes that are so reminiscent of what you think of when you see the aspen trees. And it's like I've showed in the past, to get a black, basically you take alizarin crimson, a little bit of the Prussian blue, and a little bit of our alizarin crimson, and we just mix those up. And it needs a little more of the Prussian blue in there to darken it. And if you happen to have a tube of black paint at home, if you take and pull it out and compare it to what this black is, you'll see that this is actually a little blacker than what that would be. And so now that we've got that mixed up, I'm just going to grab just a small brush here. And it really doesn't matter which brush, whatever your size you're more comfortable with. And we just get some of that on our brush, kind of roll it around so it's more towards the point. And then we come up and let's just put one in here. What they have is just this dark spot, which at one point had a limb on it, and then almost every single time that you see one of those spots, there's usually a ridge that goes around them, and it almost looks like an eye. You can see some of these other ones that I've done here. Here's one that I haven't done that on, so I'll take and put that little arch over it. And you can just do these all over on all of these trees, just at your discretion, wherever they need to be. They be all over it. So, maybe on the sides. In fact, we'll put in one up here right on the edge of this tree, and just wrap around that little eye around it. Maybe one over here. It's all we're doing basically is we're just giving them the the illusion so that when people look at this, they instantly know, oh, that's an aspen. And so, you can put in as many of these or as few of these as you would like. As always, this is your painting, so you do it the way you want to do it. We'll put one up here too. That looks kind of where the sun's popping on that one. That'll look nice. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And I would probably incorporate a few more of these, if I was doing this in the studio at home. So, and especially some of these farther back in the background. But I don't want to take a whole lot of time because I'd like to kind of wrap this painting up so that we can get into a new one next week. So, the other thing too that I did between last show and this one is that I started putting in some of these shadows where the sun, remember we've lightened up the right side of our tree bark here so that the sun is coming through on the side. So we want to do these cast shadows, and I've started putting some of those in, but we need to finish those out with the rest of them that are in there. And I'm just going to use that color that we've already mixed up there that we used for those knots on the trees. And we're going to use the same brush here just because it's going to be easier to get in between the tree trunks. And just go along and put all of these in. Most of the time, the bottoms of these trees are, for some reason, the bark is very dark on them. So, if you want to bring some of that darkness up into the base of the trunk, you can do that. And I'm just going to bring that over. And we've got a couple of trees back here that need the same thing. Just putting in these bases, or right there at the base of the trees, casting that shadow over. If you notice, there's not a whole lot of detail in it either. It's just more scumbling that across because we're doing more of an illusion. We're not trying to make this look photographic in its nature. There's some artists that are out there, and they're known for painting pictures that are almost photographic. It's hard to even tell that they're not a photograph. But that's not what we're trying to do here. This is a little more impressionistic, and our eye, when we look at paintings like this, automatically go, oh, well, that's an aspen tree, and it's not looking at every single tree to make sure that it's got a knot or that the shadows aren't perfect. So don't get caught up in that too much, because I think it's easy to kind of lose sight of what we're trying to accomplish here. This is just about having fun and giving the feel of that scene that we're looking at. We'll come back and touch up some of this with the foreground here in a minute, but I'd like to take and get up here into our trees, and I want to take and make these trees a little more towards the yellow side, like those leaves have started to change color from the green of the summer into more of a fall scene. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a pretty stiff bristle brush here, a little 1/2-inch bristle brush, and I'm going to go straight into that cad yellow, and I'm going to load up the end of that brush. And if you notice, I'm just taking basically and just tapping that so that I make sure that those bristles get filled up good with color. And then we're basically going to do the same thing of tapping up here on our canvas. And I want to kind of keep this in mind when you're painting, that where your light source is coming from. So there's going to be areas where the sun is going to be hitting brighter on some areas than on others. So we'll just take and start bringing that in, and maybe do these brighter yellows in groups. That way it'd be more like a whole limb is starting to change colors. And one of the reasons why I talked about bringing that blue in for the sky is that I think that this yellow against it looks a little better than what those mauves did. And again, that's just Mike's personal opinion. It doesn't mean that that's how you look at it, and that's okay. You know, it's each painting is individual to who's painting it. So don't worry a whole lot about that. If it's not what you prefer, then you paint it the way you want to. That makes me happy knowing that you're doing that. And if you notice, like I said, I'm just dabbing. I'm just taking and just basically pounding that. In fact, you might even be able to hear that, how much I'm hitting onto that canvas. I've had here in the last few weeks, I've had quite a number of people that have started doing some private lessons with me, and it's been really fun to meet these people and do these lessons. A lot of them, in fact, I had a lady just the other day that had never, she didn't realize that the canvas, that there was texture on them. She had never touched one, and it was so exciting for her to see the colors start going down onto the canvas and what she created. She said, I never thought that I could ever do that. And that's exciting. I mean, she can hardly wait to come back in this next weekend for another lesson. It was like a little kid wanting to play with a new toy. She called me up actually yesterday and said, what paints do I need to buy? She said, I'm wanting to do this at home, and which is exciting. That's what this whole process is about, is finding that thing that makes you happy and brings joy to you. That looks pretty good. I kind of like that. We might incorporate in a little bit more, but I'm going to take in, we've got a lot of oranges down below here, and I want to take and maybe just put a splash here or two of some oranges. I'm not going to clean my brush. I'm just going to go straight into some of that cad orange that I have there on the palette, and I'm not going to put a whole lot of this, but I just want to put a few little things just for pops of color. I actually did an aspen painting here not too long ago in my studio, and I had a botanist, I think that's what they're called, that saw the painting posted online and sent me a message saying, sorry, but they don't have oranges in birch trees. Well, I didn't know that, and it still looked good, so I'm gonna keep putting it in. Like I say, when you buy your first set of paints, you get an artist's license, which means that you can do whatever you want to do pretty much, at least on the canvas. Yeah, that looks pretty good. A little brighter than probably what I would like, and so we can always just come back into more of that cad yellow and just go over some of those maybe it's a little brighter than what we would want. We don't want that to be overpowering, but we just want it to be there to just give it a little bit of color and pop. That looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. So I want to take now and kind of do a little bit more with down here in our foreground around these trees. I don't want to put a whole lot of detail in there, but I think that a little bit of color pop in here. One of the reasons why I incorporated the green in is because I wanted some of those greens that are down here in the foreground, and so it'll just kind of make some continuity to the painting itself. So I'm going to grab this little 3/4 inch brush here and getting some of our cad yellow and just a touch of the phthalo blue, which gives us a really nice green. And what we're going to do here is I'm just going to take, and I put the brush on. I'll do it here on the side. I'll put it on, and then I'll flick it up. And so what you're doing is basically at the bases of these trees, you're just bringing that color in, you put it down, and then flick it up. And what that does is that the bristles on that brush they spring forward or spring up when you lift up like that. And it gives the illusion of grasses that are growing there at the bases of these trees. And the reason why I did the shadows before I did this is so that it basically it puts them behind these little sprigs of grasses that are sticking up here. Bring in a little more of the cad yellow. Vary the colors up a little bit. If you go out in nature, in fact, I was one of the lessons I was doing the other night. The lady, and she said, "I guess I didn't really realize that there were so many colors." She said, when you look at a tree, it's not all green. There's all sorts of different color variations that are in there. And, that's the fun part of this, is learning and just looking at things from a different perspective as an artist, I think, than what a lot of society does. And we've talked about that before too, that you start to look at things a little more closely. As you can see, what I'm doing here now as I was talking is I'm taking right at the base of that, and I'm just kind of just scrubbling out some of that color. It'd be almost like there would be some grasses that would be in between here. And you can do as much of this or as little as you would like. In fact, I was commissioned by a couple that they wanted some aspens, but they wanted four separate pictures of the same scene. They wanted a spring, a summer, and a fall, winter of all of the same scene, just what it would look like in the different color or in the different seasons, which has kind of been really fun to do. But if you're wanting to make this like an early spring or summer, rather than having all these oranges and reds in here, maybe we would have done more of a green. As you can see, just by doing that little bit, we've really connected the painting together, not only with the oranges and up above and below, but with the greens up above and down below. And now what I want to do is take, and maybe on the right side of the trees where the sun is going to be hitting those trees, I want to take and lift up a few more just straight yellow where the sun might be hitting those sprigs of grass a little brighter. And again, I'm just doing, you don't have to do a lot of this, but these little things here are what make the painting kind of pop to life. And they're just kind of an important part of completing it and making it look right. And again, working at home, you can take as much time doing this as you would like. I just want to, here just basically to give you some direction and give you some ideas of how to do things in your own painting that maybe it's a little different perspective and different way of looking at it. Yeah, looks pretty good. We'll get a couple more of these trees over here on this side and move on to the next part of it. I absolutely love seeing these paintings come to life, and you know, you can make up little stories about these little scenes that you're painting, and it kind of makes it more, brings it more to life. And usually the paintings that I do, there's something that has prompted me. Either it reminds me of something, or a past experience, or a place that I've been in the past. You know, it's all just kind of, you know, off memory of things that have been important parts in my life. And you've had them too in yours, and everyone's had those experiences. So why not, you know, kind of memorialize that in a painting, something you can pass down or give to your friends and family as gifts, and leave a legacy of kind of your life and what was important to you. That looks pretty good. I really like that. I think what I'll do before we run out of too much more time is I want to come back in and show you how I left some gaps here in that lavender, show you how we actually filled that in. Obviously, you know, ideally we would have done that in the right color to begin with. We would have done it in that light blue, but you know, that's your prerogative to change it in the middle. And I didn't want to correct it all at home. I wanted to show you how I go about it, so that, you know, if you encounter the same thing, how you can fix it. So what I'm doing basically is I'm just getting myself some straight titanium white, and I'm just a touch of that phthalo blue, and I'm mixing that right there on my brush, and I'll hold it up. It's probably a little bluer than what I had down here below, but that's okay. The sky's going to be different colors, so I'm just gonna come back in and fill in some of these spots. Now, we don't need to do the whole thing in every spot that's open. All we're doing basically is just trying to show where that light might be coming in, that sky color. And be careful, and I probably should have done this to begin with, but I didn't. Remember, we've got that little bits of that yellow that's on there, and if there's any of that blue that touches with the yellow, we're going to end up with a really pretty green in our sky, which we don't really want. There we go. So you can see I've just taken, and I'm just basically just touching a few of those spots in between the tree limbs. And again, your eye is going to automatically look at it and they go, oh, that's the sky. Even though not all of it is going to be perfectly covered up with the same colors of blue in the sky. And because there was a little difference in the color there, I'm going to just take and kind of fill in some of this that I had painted before, even because this is a little different shade of blue than what I had on there originally. But you can see, you know, by just putting in a few little spots here of color, it really changes the whole look of the painting and of the scene itself. So, you know, don't be panicked if you put something down and it doesn't look quite right. You know, you can always come back in and rework it, and in fact, just today in the studio, I had a painting that I had started, and it just flat was not working the way I had wanted it to and turning out. So what did I do? I just took and painted all over it and started all over again. It's kind of frustrating to do that sometimes, but sometimes it feels good just to be done with it and not have to worry about it anymore. And I think with that, we're going to call that painting good. Come back in, take the time that you want to, maybe take a little more detail, getting those blues in, or working those little sprigs of grass that are sticking up there. Take your time, do it the way you would like to. We just started a new year, and I want to encourage you on a couple of things. I think that if words that I'm going to say can really change and help you in this coming year. A lot of people making New Year's resolutions right now and things that they want to change in their life, which is all good. But I think so many of the people in our world, myself included, we beat ourselves up over mistakes and things that we've done in the past. Things that we've allowed to interfere with us going forward and becoming a better person. Maybe 2015 was not a good year for you. What happened in 2015? What happened a month ago, a week ago, an hour ago does not mean that you cannot go forward and have a super year in 2016. You need to forgive yourself for what you've done. God's forgiven you. He's forgot all about it. Maybe those around you haven't. Maybe they hold on to that. But I would encourage you to think about that in your own life. You don't want others to judge you based on what you've done in the past. Try to be that way and conscious of how you treat others. Maybe they've made mistakes in the past. That doesn't mean that they're a bad person. Doesn't mean that they don't deserve another chance. And God gives us chances all the time. He's there to lead us, guide us, and direct us. Don't beat yourself up. Don't let those around you beat you up and inhibit you from going forward and to becoming the person that you want to be, that God wants you to be. Stay positive this year. Don't let those things around you bring you down. Keep your focus where it's supposed to be. Be creative. Thank those around you. Love those around you. Bless those around you every opportunity that you have. Give that smile of encouragement, that pat on the back, that hug, that you can do it. And if you will do that for others, you're going to see that that's going to come back in and you're going to reap those benefits yourself. So go forward in 2016, making it the best year that you can make it by just loving yourself a little more and showing that love to those around you. Have a great week. I will see you next week here on Art and Soul. I thank you again for joining me, and be creative this week. And as always, CJ, I love you.